Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Palm Tree Sports. It is hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is brought to you by Ice Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And guys, welcome. It's been a couple of weeks. I didn't get to see, or not see you guys, but talk to you guys last week. I'm back. I'm here. And I got some things to share with you guys. Actually, got quite a few things to cover. We're going to go ahead and get into all of the material for today. There's a lot going across the world, a lot going on across the world of sports right now, from the NFL season wrapping up. The college football signing day is wrapping up. March Madness is around the corner. I won't be going into detail too much about that until it gets here. Then I will be sharing what's going on with our teams from there. We have the NFL draft coming up. We have spring baseball that's about to come. So I'm going to throw all that stuff at you guys. So get ready for a packed show. I got a lot of good things to throw at you guys. And what I want to do now is I want to just go ahead and take the time out to say thank you for all those who listen and really put the time in to hear what I have to say. I'm just one of many people doing this, but this is something I never knew I'd love and have such a passion for. So guys, I really appreciate you guys for rocking with me. But now here comes the good part, right? Because this is a podcast. That means I'm going to give you guys some facts, and then I'm going to shoot some opinions at you guys. Or I'm going to shoot some things at you guys that you may not see coming, or maybe that you weren't thinking about. And the reason for that is simple. First off, every voice should be heard. Mine, yours, everybody's. But on top of that, sometimes these things actually come to fruition, and it's nice to have receipts on these things, especially when you're trying to determine what's going to happen for your team. So if your team is Tampa, listen to what I have to tell you, because obviously we're in a whirlwind down here. For those who don't know, Tampa, Florida, with the departure of one Tom Brady, is obviously, I don't want to say we're in shambles, because we still possess a lot of great pieces. The problem is, in the areas where we don't have great pieces, the pieces are kind of just bad. And I don't want to say that from the standpoint of the production, as in our players are just bad, but the consistency, the health issues have all been major things, especially over the last two seasons. I'll tell you this much. We went all in 3 years ago, got Brady, won a Super Bowl. The next year, we had, at one point in time, 21 players injured on the roster. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember that number correctly, it was 21 players injured. All right, the year after we won the Super Bowl, including literally two of our starting receivers, Gronk. Basically every starting defender was injured at some point in time throughout the season last year. You look at Brady himself. Brady was pretty much the only guy who played the entire season without injury, barring one of the guys on the line. No, because Tristan Wirfs, I don't remember if Tristan Wirfs had an injury. He might have had a light injury and, may have been just like, not available for a game or two. But, you guys get what I'm saying. So the important part behind that is to first off talk about Brady's departure, because I can't go into the further until we've talked about that. I'll keep it simple. I'm sure you guys know at this time, and for those who don't know, I have been a Brady fan since the beginning. I've mentioned this once before. For people who don't understand how you become a Brady fan, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, look at the work, okay? Tampa Bay was making the playoffs left and right late in the 90s under Tony Dungy with a great defense, but could never offensively score when it mattered most, against the Rams, against the Eagles, just so many times getting knocked out of the playoffs by teams, and they were teams that we could beat, but we just didn't beat them. So when you look at that, that's when the head coaching thing changed, and that's when John Gruden came in, electrified the offense. The offense was on fire, just as the defense was in that Super Bowl, barring the first drive. And the reason why I say that is because that's how it felt when Tom was here. That's exactly how it felt when Tom was here, especially winning that Super Bowl. So, I really want to see Tom succeed in everything he does after this. But when you're a Buccaneer fan, and you're watching Tom Young, young Tom in his career, he's playing against the first Super Bowl he wins is against the Rams. If I'm not mistaken, the Rams knocked out the Bucs to get there in the NFC Championship game. So, of course, we're going to root for the Patriots. So, and no, you didn't miss the hot take, my man. Trust me, that's coming up. Everybody's going to want to check in for that because it's going to be good. So, the reason why that really boils down the reason why, as a Southern fan, regardless of, except for if you're in Miami, obviously, there's no reason for you to like Tom Brady if you're in Miami. If you're a Jaguars fan, that's a 50-50 ball game. There have been times where Tom Brady's done you a favor, like knocked the team out of the playoffs that y'all didn't want to see. Then there's times where he didn't do y'all a favor, and y'all end up playing him, and, well, he's Tom. So when you watch him from a Tampa Bay perspective, you say, man, he beat the Rams, he beat the Eagles, he beat the Carolina Panthers. We hate those teams as Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We don't like any of those teams at all for no reason whatsoever. There's not going to be a time where we're going to, like, there's going to be a Buccaneers and say, like, a Buccaneers and one of the teams I said, a Buccaneer and Carolina game, for instance, because we're division foes, so that'll be easy. There's never going to be a time as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan where I'm like, go Carolina, unless it's to, like, beat the Saints or something like that. Like, if I had to choose, I don't like the Saints more than I don't like the Carolina Panthers. So you get what I'm saying there. With that being said, he was always kind of like Batman, from the distance, like, kind of, and the new Batman, right? Robert Pattinson. Those who don't like it, I feel sorry for you because it's a phenomenal Batman. I'm an avid Batman fan. I've read ridiculous amount of his comics. I know his history. This is a great portrayal for Batman. I absolutely loved it. But it also showed that edgy, rigorous side of him, that the tendency to not sleep. That's Brady when it comes to the game of football. So it was a joy to watch him. It was an even bigger joy for him to join. I kid you not. It was a dream come true, Tom Brady signing with Tampa Bay. Absolute dream come true. Down to winning the Super Bowl here. I worked the event. And that all of that was more or less made possible. Obviously, it's not just Tom, but the centerpiece of it all is Tom, right? And so all of those things impartially brought to you by Tom, and I thank him so much for allowing me to live as close to the experience as I could have ever gotten. I'm not a rich person or anything like that, so but I was grateful and just so happy to work the Super Bowl event and get to see all of those stars and all the people, meet all those new people from different states from all over the U.S., and it was just a phenomenal 2 weeks. So thank you, Tom. Thank you for everything from the start of your career to the end of it. Thank you even for what you did in Michigan because you beat Bama. I'm a Gator. We appreciate you. So thank you, Tom. Thank you. Now, hot take, right? So obviously, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in a weird space, right now, because we're sitting here and we're saying, all right, so the GOAT just retired. Went and got the GOAT, got him for 3 years. It was a wonderful 3 years that we had him here. Where do we go from here, right? There's no quarterback, right? So Blaine Gabbert's not under contract. He's a free agent. Kyle Trask is not ready. Okay, he's not ready. Kyle Trask, I don't want to say this, but I've watched so much football over the last, I'm 28 years old. I've been watching football since I was 4 years old. Okay, guys, the first game I ever watched was the Florida Gators versus the Tennessee Volunteers back in '98. Okay, I believe Peyton was at quarterback. Okay, Peyton never beat the Gators. I fell in love. I was like, yes, this is football. This is how it's supposed to be played. He's a number 1 draft pick. Screw him. We're going to wreck him. And that's what we did. It was a beautiful sight to behold back then. So as a Gator, I can tell you right now, Kyle Trask looks to be like he was one of those guys that was really good in college, could really spend it in college. But because it was at the college level, and let's be clear, there's not really a ceiling on the college level, but there is when you get to the NFL and you see the production from the players that were 6th and 7th round draft picks like Brock Purdy. That is a perfect example. And speaking of Brock Purdy, that is one of my takes. So, excuse me for the sinus, guys, everybody, but hear me out. So we have a big need for quarterback. The only quarterback in the room right now under any type of contract that's obligated to play next season for Tampa Bay is Kyle Trask. However, if he did play, I'm not sure that he would be in the top 20 of quarterbacks, meaning I don't think it would be a good idea to start him. And I'm not saying that he can't be the guy. What I am saying is he definitely needs more work. He's going to need more polishing. He's going to need a lot more of the what do you call that? The spit shine. Put a little elbow grease into it. So how do you get somebody that's ready to start now? Well, there's a few options out there. See, here's the thing that people don't understand. I don't know the 49ers cap situation. I know the Bucks cap situation is horrible, but like the Bucks have tended to do over the years is create magic when there's no magic to be created. Jason Licht has done that each of the last 2 seasons. He's found money where there was no money to be found. He's been able to convert, and he's been able to keep dead money out of the way for the most part. Okay. Now, it's going to be a really big magic trick to see what happens here. And the reason why I say that is because, first off, there are quite a few options. So I've seen Aaron Rodgers, I've seen Lamar Jackson, I've seen Derek Carr, right? So those 3 guys are like 3 of the guys that you're saying, like, okay, cool. They're for sure not returning to their team this offseason. Like, I mean, at least as close to possibly not returning as you're going to get for a starting quarterback these days, because they're all starting quarterbacks. So when you take that in consideration, you say, okay, well, who's going to be the easiest guy to get? Well, with Aaron Rodgers, you have to trade. The problem is, if the Packers don't want to trade him, they're not going to trade him. If they did want to trade him, what are they going to be asking for? 3, 4 first-round draft picks? No. I personally would not give 3 to 4 first-round draft picks to an organization for a man who's, 2 years younger than Brady? No, not 2 years, but you get what I'm saying. Like, he's on the way out, too. He is. He's a terrific football player. I love watching Aaron Rodgers play the football, man. The guy's probably the best quarterback outside of the pocket in NFL history, okay? The problem is we don't want what we just had with Tom. We got it with the GOAT because he's the GOAT. But we don't want you to come in, play 2 years, retire, unretire, come back, play the whole Brett Favre thing. We don't want that. I'm sorry. That is only going to further push the franchise back. That leaves us with Carr. And you say Carr makes a lot of sense. I agree. See, here's my logic. Check me out. Here's my logic. We are sitting at 19 in the draft. After Brock Purdy did what he did this season, there's no logical way, logically speaking, okay, obviously, dumb things have happened, but there's no reason for any of the top 5 quarterbacks in this year's draft to slide down to the Bucks. There's no way that's going to happen. So that leaves you with 2 options, right? You say, hold on, not every one of those teams up there above us, 18 teams in front of us, need a quarterback. A lot of them have young quarterbacks that they drafted and or good veteran quarterbacks that came in off other teams, right? Like the Browns, Deshaun Watson, he missed like half the season. Then you have, obviously you have, Justin Herbert with the Chargers. I believe Justin Herbert the Chargers picked right before us. So the point that I'm making is this, okay? There are going to be teams who may not need a quarterback, who may not go for a quarterback, so we may see one slip down. If I'm Jason Licht, I say this. My first goal would be to see what Lamar Jackson is looking for money. That's the first thing. See, and I have to mention Lamar because I'd be wrong if I didn't. If Lamar agreed to take, I guess you could say, not necessarily a pay cut, but a 1-year deal with whatever we can make happen, and sell him on the idea that you will win this division, you have the best receiving core in the division, you have the best young defense in the division, especially after this draft, because they're going to have to address some of that, and possibly even in the offseason, okay? We'll see, because I'm going to be honest with you, after a quarterback, the next thing I'm looking for is a defensive lineman right now, okay, guys? And I'll explain that later, and that's a part of the hot take as well. So first things first, you got to see what Lamar Jackson wants. Most likely it's not going to work. That's why Derek Carr is probably the best option. Derek Carr may be the easiest guy to get a veteran in here as far as his time is concerned, playing in the league, and get him in here for these young guys. I don't feel comfortable with telling Blaine Gabbert, hey man, I need you to run this offense. He's getting old too, guys. That's the thing people don't understand about Blaine Gabbert. That guy's been around the league for a while now, okay? He's in his, 12th, 13th season or something and he's basically been a career backup, okay? So, I don't know if I feel comfortable just re-signing him over Derek Carr. If I had to choose between him and Derek, I'm choosing Derek, basically is what I'm saying, okay? So, if that's not the case, I would immediately go to who's the general manager of the 49ers? Somebody ring that bell for me. It's John Lynch, longtime Buccaneer, right? I'm not saying that for the sake of his company that his franchise, not company, but franchise, that he would trade away one of those young two quarterbacks, but let's put it to you like this. Obviously, they're probably not going to keep Jimmy G, but at this point, where does Jimmy G go? He could come here, but I wouldn't pick him over Derek Carr. He's going to get injured somewhere between the first 10 games of the season, and then we're going to have to fall on a backup anyway, and that backup's not Derek Carr, so I don't want to waste the time. I'd rather get Derek. But he's got a Trey Lance and a Brock Purdy right there. Brock just showed what he can do, but he's off injury. So is Trey. There's a possibility that one of those two guys could be up for grabs. They're both injured. Okay, guys, take that into consideration. Both of these guys are injured right now. So what are the 49ers going to do? Well, I'll tell you what, they're not going to do anything before the Bucs do because they draft after the Bucs. See how that works? So it's going to be interesting to see if maybe the 49ers trade up, if they try to swap places with Florida, if one of those teams are there. Because if you come to me right now and you tell me, hey, look, I'll give you Brock Purdy for your 19th round, you have to consider that. Because you're like, okay, so what am I getting with Brock Purdy? Well, this guy literally came in and won every single game until he got injured. Okay? And then you look at, the draft class, you're saying, all right, well, these guys are just coming out of college. There's proof in the pudding, guys. There is proof in the pudding. Now, speaking of college, there are quite a few good college quarterbacks coming out. There's C.J. Stroud, who did not look that good in the high school the whatchamacallit game. Where they bring all the high school, all the best college students out. The Under Armour Senior Bowl. That's what it's called. I'm sorry, I had to go on my archives to remember it. He didn't look that good. All right, that's a problem. Why? Well, he looked to be the most poised quarterback, ready to play in the NFL. But there's that guy down in USC. Now, I can't remember his name, but he might be the second most NFL. Look, here's the problem. What I do is I'll go back and I'll look at the tape and I'll look at these guys and I'll look at some of their high pressure situations, right? That's really what I'm looking for. Everybody can sling the ball around. I'm 5'8". I can sling the ball. Okay. What do you do in the 4-minute offense, in the 2-minute offense? Do you turn the ball over? Are you calm? Are you poised? Can you sense the defender blitzing off the right side, off your blind side? Do you know how to get the ball to the spot where the defender is blitzing at? Do you understand the difference between the Mike linebacker and the strong side linebacker? Do you understand the difference between the free safety and the strong safety and how their purposes will shift based on your offensive play calling? If they have one safety in the middle of the field and you're running 2 go routes and you're going to throw the ball to one guy before you know which way the safety's breaking, you're not going to last long in the league, guys. You're not going to last long in the league. So it's going to come down to those assets, right? So you got the young man from USC, you got C.J. Stroud, and then what I've seen a lot of people say is that Anthony Richardson is going to slide down, okay? Anthony Richardson is at Florida. He was behind Kyle Trask, okay, guys? Came right after Kyle. He wears 15 for a reason. He is absolutely one of the most, I can't give him the title the most, but he is one of the most explosive football players I've ever seen when the ball is in his hand. Here's the problem. He threw 9 interceptions in one season, and it was his sophomore bid. Okay? Well, that's not a lot, Corey. No, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot because it's just 1 year, and he doesn't have any experience. Here's what my problem is. So many years ago, there was this guy named Jamarcus Russell who came out of LSU, I think it was. He got drafted by the Oakland Raiders, and they just thought he was going to be the next big thing, right? Like he's be the freaking, take over the league, right? No, he didn't. Let's just say that was, in my opinion, he's the biggest draft bust of all time, okay? Because I watched him in college. He was just calculated. Then he gets to the pros, and it was just like, bro, you play football? Are you sure that's what you play? Are you positive? Like, what's going on, bro? Like, it was horrible. He was absolutely horrific to watch. I don't want that for Anthony. However, in a not so perfect world, but a world that us Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans can live in, we go get Derek Carr on a 1-year deal, and this is going to sound crazy, but we draft 2 quarterbacks. And there's a reason for that, okay? 1, odds are Anthony Richardson may actually be there at 19, okay? So then I ask you guys who watch college football. I watch a ton of college football. I ask you guys, who is coming out of next year's draft that you would rather wait a year? You'd rather risk your franchise going through Who knows what type of untold debauchery that would lead to departures after the end of that season? I wouldn't risk it, especially with the names that we have that will be coming up for contracts, okay? Especially with the names that we have. I mean, just to name a few. Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield Jr. will be his, was that fourth? This is his third year, so that'd be end of his fourth year in the league. Okay, he's going to be looking for somebody else or somewhere else to go play. If Couturier goes like that, Levante Davis, 10 years in the league, he may retire anytime. Devin White will be off of his rookie contract. Guys, these are not people we want to lose at all, okay? So, taking those things in consideration, you got to solve the quarterback issue now. The best way I believe to do it, okay, because we have draft picks right now, and we also have to insinuate that most of the key elements of our team are still fulfilled. All right, linebacker, most of defensive backs, we need to get some depth there, but we can also develop. We did draft a guy last year. All right, Zion McCullum. So there's that. Running backs were decent on. We still have two really good running backs, I believe. Tight ends we need to work on. I want to get that guy from Georgia. I don't know if he's going to be available, late, but if he is, that guy would be really, really good. I can't remember his name, but he's the dude that wore number 19, a real big Gronkowski-looking guy, obviously. So, so you go get Derek Carr on a one-year deal. You draft two quarterbacks, and you have to trade up. So most likely we'll have to give up next year's first rounder to get a second first rounder this year, much earlier. If we could do that, all right, obviously it'd be a first rounder and something else most likely, but if we could get two first rounders, and if we could get, whether it be CJ Stroud or the young man from USC and Anthony Richardson, your quarterback room would then be Derek Carr, and let's say we got CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson. All right, guys. If we can't, now I'll tell you how that changes. If we could get our hands on Lamar Jackson, then you only draft one quarterback. Okay? A backup. Somebody that's going to come in and play if necessary. Okay? And the reason why you do that, for one, is because history shows that it works. Two, the 49ers just did it. All right? And the second reason why you do it is because then you know that your offense is filtering through somebody that hasn't been a part of a separate offense before, right? Like if you bring in, if you keep Blaine Gabbert, there's almost, no reason to draft a quarterback, then you just go get another starter. You see what I'm saying, guys? But obviously the cap situation is what's holding our hands. So that's my hot take, and cut in many different ways so you can see it. But drafting two QBs may be the way to go early on, because after that it's basically just going to be offensive line, defensive line, and depth, okay, and tight end. Like there's not going to be as much a need to stifle these other positions that we already have great players at, okay. So that's it for Tampa Bay. Again, I had to slice it up so many different ways because a lot of people are not going to see that coming. Draft two quarterbacks, but the draft is our best friend right now because we have no money. Guys, we have no money and no quarterback. No money, no quarterback. The only way teams have made it out of this situation before is drafting good quarterbacks. Okay, guys? So that's going to be that for Tampa Bay. The Jaguars and the Dolphins, I don't have as much to share, and that's kind of why I took so much time with Tampa, so I do apologize for those who are waiting to hear about the Jags and about the Dolphins. I'll go ahead and go into the Jags first. The reflection on the season is simple. They showed that the season is never finished no matter what your record is until the end. If you have a chance to win the division, you got to swing for the fence, and they did. You got to be consistent. You got to lean on your run game, and you've got to allow your young quarterback, your young team to develop. Because, see, here's the thing that people don't understand about football. Yeah, vets are nice, but it's about the unit, right? So you go get, for instance, I'll put it to you like this. You might have a 70 Chevelle SS Super Sport, okay? 406 horsepower at the wheel. I mean, you tune that bad boy the right way, you can add some NOS intake. Things are already supercharged. I mean, really, what more is there to do besides put some good tires on there and then go win a race, right? When you have these new cars that are coming out, dude, and some of these tunable vehicles have 1,000 horsepower. Okay, so it's nice that you got your 70s, Chevelle SS, and it's a monster conventionally speaking, but this car's not conventional. That's the idea. It doesn't really matter what you drive, but you got to drive it well, and you got to know what it's capable of doing, and you got to adapt. right? That's the final thing. You have to adapt. So that's my reflection for the Jaguars season. We'll see what they can do. I'm very happy with what they accomplished, but we'll see what they can do next year. Hopefully they can dig deeper into the playoffs, to that AFC Championship game, and win it. It would be crazy to see the Jaguars in the Super Bowl, guys. It would just be nuts. They've never been. So, Jaguars, great season. Again, very happy for you. Now, the only other question I have for the Jaguars is what can they improve on, right? Because you look at this team, and they are probably the most improved team from last year to this year, looking at least from a record standpoint, right? Making the playoffs and what have you. But there is room for improvement. I believe that you guys are still looking for an offensive coordinator. Is it offensive coordinator? No, there's some coaching change that's happening in Jacksonville that needs to be fulfilled. So there's that, and then obviously there's going to be the need for depth, because you guys, once you guys lost the receiver, it's like y'all became one dimension, throwing to one guy and then running the ball. So some depth would be nice. I don't think you guys really got to worry about paying people too much. You guys did that last year. But and then aside from that, obviously over the top end, you guys are going to want to work on some safety help too, right? So you're going to have to draft there as well. Aside from that, good defense, hot and cold offense at times, but a relatively good offense. I enjoyed watching Lawrence do his thing, Trevor Lawrence do his thing, and Travis Etienne as well, for that matter. So good luck to the Jaguars going into, or here, now that we're here in the offseason, and as they get ready to enjoy their offseason before they get back into the scoop of things in the summer. Hopefully they can make those improvements, finish up around the coaching staff, keep that defense together, and get it a little bit better. There's a lot of talk about who the offensive coordinator is also going to be for the Bucs, but there hasn't been any final decisions. There's just been a lot of interviews. That's why I didn't mention that before, so I just wanted to backtrack and mention that for those who didn't catch it. Just been a lot of interviews. We don't know yet. We just don't know what's going to happen yet, but obviously there's a lot of positions open here, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what the Bucs are capable of doing. Same with the Jaguars. Moving on to the Dolphins. Okay, so Vic Fangio, okay, is going to join the team after the Super Bowl. That's a good thing. I'm not very versed in his coaching career. I know he was with the Broncos at one point. The Dolphins need to solve the Tua Tagovailoa issue, okay? And that's still a sensitive subject for a lot of people. I saw a status update a couple of days ago saying that there was a 16% increase in concussions this season alone. And the number, obviously it was above 100. So that is alarming. It's very alarming, because the league is supposed to be getting safer, and yet, you had the Damar Hamlin situation, you had the Tua Tagovailoa situation, you have all these guys breaking bones, Patrick Mahomes is injured, like, Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of injury issues there. That's the main issue you guys are going to have to solve. The add of Vic is going to be nice, but guys, your franchise quarterback needs some help. All right, so y'all going to have to fix that offensive line. And by fix it, I mean y'all need to just hire the Great Wall of China or something, because he got beat up, okay? And it's a shame that when you say, oh, well, when Tua Tagovailoa is starting, it's the best offense in the league, but then he's injured, and now the offense is just okay. You don't want to see that, especially with such a high-flying offense such as the Dolphins. So it's sad to say, but, good luck to the Dolphins also in this offseason. Hopefully they can figure out something for Tua. Guys, let's go ahead and take our first break. This first segment has gone on a lot longer than it normally does, but, guys, we did have a lot to talk about, a lot to get ready for, especially heading into the draft. So thank you guys for keeping it locked here at Palm Tree Sports. I am your host, Corey Pools, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, and keep it locked here for all your sports needs. We'll be back in a moment, okay?
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' to NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the waitaminuteshow.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan?
And that's really the best part about IE Sports Radio. We have so many different shows from so many different parts of the United States, covering a little bit of everything no matter what you're looking for. It's a beautiful thing. I love it here, guys. I love it. Well, we are back here at Palm Tree Sports, and, we're about to get into a few more things. We just covered the NFL, but, as always, is brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And, as we move into the next part, normally we'd be going into college football, but obviously there's just not a lot going with the off season, so we'll cover that in a second. What we're going to do next is jump into the NBA. All right, NBA season is full swing. There's a lot of implications right around this time of the season. Where's the team at? Where's it headed? Are you above 500? Biggest question you're asking yourself right now if you're any NBA franchise. Are you above 500? Well, I can tell you one franchise that was not. The Miami Heat. You guessed it, guys. And, for those who don't know, I am impartial. I do like the Heat. My dad likes the Magic. So I'm a little bit more excited to talk about the Heat. I'm very happy to mention to you guys that they are 29-24. Above the 500 mark. Very big deal. We were talking about this a few weeks back where they weren't. And that they just have to keep working, get more healthy. I believe Victor Oladipo is back. So, there's so much more work now when a team is healthy and they're able to do and implicate and execute all those little things on the court. Basketball, is a smaller man game than football is. So your gut health is even more important because of it. As a result, we see the Heat now doing pretty good. Their record isn't speaking as loudly for them as they should, especially over the last 12 or 13 games or so. These games have been up and down, win-loss, 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 win-win-loss, loss-win, win-loss, and they've been about 8 points or lower on average each of those last 12 or 13 games. It's absolutely horrendous. These guys are losing the closest of games. And when they're winning close games sometimes. They're, a little bit more than 10 points. I've seen a couple. But the truth to the matter is this. They have to finish. They just have to execute in the fourth a lot better than what they're doing because it's just like any other sport. When you're losing and it's close, that means you gave yourself a shot. You didn't as a team, you guys didn't rise to the occasion and finish the game. You guys have to finish better. You're going to have to put your foot in the ground and knock these teams out. All right, guys. 29-24 is not the best record in the East, but it's respectable. You got to keep working to get where you want to be if you want to be there, guys. You'll make the playoffs, but you're going to have to finish. Going to have to finish much better, okay? You guys got the Bucks tonight. All right, that's going to be a good game. That's going to be at 8 p.m. The Bucks are rocking a 35-17 record right now behind Giannis and company, and that's about what you would expect from that team. A very gifted team, a very good team in pretty much all facets. Giannis is shooting 3 balls now. You know, he's always been pretty much God mode in the paint. A terrific defender. They play terrific defense in general, you know, on the court. So you love to see it. It's going to be a great game. I myself may, you know, turn that one on and check it out. And with that being said, you know, hopefully they can get that W and start putting on a win streak together. But, you know, even if they can't, like I said, I suspect it'll be a great game. I'm personally, I think, going to watch it myself. And I don't think there's anything else on that's going to be remotely as exciting as that game. Now, moving on to the Magic just beat the Timberwolves 127-120. Now, the Magic are not above 500, okay? So, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm pretty sure you're listening, but, yeah, real quick to go back to that. Yeah, Giannis is nuts right now, dude. Let me tell you something. I think it was like 2 years ago we saw him sink a 3 for like the first time. Like we saw him nail a 3, and I looked at my dad, I believe I was actually watching the game with my dad. I looked at my dad and said, Dad, if he ever gets good at this, there's going to be a problem. Okay? I don't think there's ever been a big man that dominates in the paint the way that Giannis does. Okay? That can shoot 3 balls, right? That's just nuts. I mean, snipers don't usually come at that frame. All right? But it could happen. I mean, it could absolutely happen, but the man is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, obviously it's not a Milwaukee show, but I do support the man. I'm very, very pleased to be able to have seen this kind of athlete, you know, play the game right now. Because like I said, usually when you see big men, they're just in the paint 24/7. Now this guy's a threat anywhere. And 40 over the last 6 games is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. You know, I think there was another guy who was doing something similar to that out west. Now, you know me, you know, I'm an LBJ fan. I was watching him, and, you know, he went nuts for a little while. I think he had a 10-game stretch where he scored over 30. I think he just scored, 26 the other night, but he was injured a little bit. He was questionable for the game, so... But anyway, back to the Magic part. You know, it's a team that's not over 500. You don't really expect much from them. I don't expect much from them. We'll see what happens. We'll just have to see what happens. They won the game by 7, so that's good. But their record still speaks for itself. Win a game, lose 2 or 3 games. Win a game, lose another 2 or 3 games. Win, lose, lose. It's just you can't. They can't fix it in this season, and they're not going to be able to, but it's okay because it's part of the cycle of life. It's part of the cycle of basketball life, sports life. It happens with every team, everywhere, in every sport. So it's understandable. The goal for them just needs to be worrying about to get to 500. All right, guys, it's very simple for the Magic. Get to 500. Try to have something to build on next year, which you already do, but you have a young team. You know, try to put some reps in to the point where you guys are getting to your landmarks, and then you become like a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, who can just literally just post up anywhere, right? And you got teams like Golden State's getting older now, but in their heyday, they could post up anywhere. You got snipers on the inside, you got big guys you got snipers on the outside, big guys on the inside. You got role players that are coming off the bench to give you 20 points a game. You got other role players coming in, you know, blocking 4 shots, getting 3 steals, things like that. And you're looking at it, you're like, this is a complete team. That's why they go 72-8 or 72-9, whatever that ridiculous record was that they had. So. Absolutely doable. Gonna have to take some time to build, you know, and just keep working at it. Just keep working at it. But that's it for the NBA part. Again, there wasn't going to be too much for the NBA, as there is not too much either for college football. So we're in the offseason for college football. As you guys know, I'm an avid Gator fan, so I do have a couple of things to report for the Gators. One, Jaden Rashada, the decommit from Florida because of the NIL situation, I think it was, has chosen Arizona State, I believe it was. Good luck to you. I'm just still disappointed in you, but good luck to you because I'm also disappointed in my college for what happened and took place, and I apologize for the inconvenience, but these things happen. That's the first thing to report. The second thing to report is that the Orange and Blue game does have a date. You guys, I told you I'd be back with it as soon as they release it. I'm going to tell you something. If you guys don't know Gator football, I'm sorry. This is a heritage down here. The orange and blue game is the first sold out game of the season, if you will, down here. And it's basically, 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s, drills, but really centering around execution. This is where you're going to get to come out and see, for instance, for all of us who knew who Anthony Richardson was before the season started, we're just sitting back saying, oh, I can't wait for this guy to play football. Dude, have you seen him in practice? He's fucking nuts, dude. Excuse my French, guys. I got the whatchamacallit on there for this, but I usually control my French a little bit better. But let me be honest with you. The orange and blue game was just AR's coming out party last year. He was absolutely phenomenal, and he showed in that first game against Houston. So, with that being said, the orange and blue game, April 13th, lock your calendars in. It should be on SEC Network if you have it. If not, look for it on YouTube. I think you'll be able to see it on YouTube because I believe afterwards they always post the entire game or at least the highlights from the game. So check into that. That's big news simply because the Gators have added, y'all ready? 31. All right, new names. Why is that a big deal? Well, guys, for the last 2 years before Billy Napier got here, the biggest problem with Dan Mullen is that he could not. I think 31 is actually bigger than the 2 years of him recruiting. The last 2 years of him recruiting put together. It's absolutely nuts. And when I mean 31, I mean like actual players. Like I don't mean like signees for the 2024 season and it's 2020. Like, bro, that's 4 years from now, bro. Chill out. So 31 players, 21 of them are fresh out of high school, so they're going to be redshirt freshmen most likely, and true freshmen. And we got 10 transfers, including the quarterback from, Wisconsin? What's his name? Graham Mertz? Is that his name? I didn't write it down. I think it's Graham Mertz or something like that. He had an interception problem, but it seemed like he really started to figure out in the second half of the season, but the guy's tremendous in the pocket, so we'll see what happens there. For the Noles, the only thing that really popped up for the Noles is that you guys lost an assistant coach. That's really only the big news there. To HBCU, he's replacing Ed Reed, I think it was. Aside from that, you guys pretty much had the worst signing day of the big three. Graham Mertz, perfect. Great. Can't wait to see what he does because it's been a minute since we've had I know people want to say Kyle Trask wasn't a mobile quarterback, but guys, you didn't watch Florida football if y'all missed that. He was mobile. It was weird, but he was mobile. So it'll be interesting to have a pocket quarterback for a change under Billy Napier, especially with the offense that he likes to run. So we'll see what happens. We'll really see what happens there. And like I said, with Florida State, they kind of had the worst signing day, but it's also because they had the best record of last year, right? So what does that mean? That means they got a lot of good talent already. They're already loaded, so there's not a whole lot that they have to do outside of getting their guys from high school. I don't think they really had to worry about transfer portal as much. I knew they had a couple of players. I think it was like 4 total transfers from Florida State or something like that. I don't think it was a big number the last time I saw it. Speaking of transfer, Canes, right? Miami, dead in the water last year. Looked terrific. Worst team in Florida. Okay, well, guess what? They had a pretty good recruiting process, guys. I don't have the exact numbers, but I've seen some good things coming out of them. I've seen a bunch of 4-star recruits. I've seen, I think, a 5-star in there as well. I'm not exactly sure, like I said, what the numbers are. I'll double back and see if I can find them. If I can, I'll write them down for you. Put that on here for next week and cover it there. But they did have a really good recruiting class. That's always good, but they're looking for an offensive coordinator. It looks like Tyler Van Dyke's going to stay. Good. That means you got a quarterback with another year in the system, but he's going to need a new OC, and that could be kind of troubling for quarterbacks in their second year. If for those who have seen that happen in the NFL, when you have a second-year quarterback and a new OC, what tends to happen is one or two things, injury or a lot of turnovers. We saw it with Jameis Winston. I believe it was a lot of turnovers. He's just a turnover machine. It's unfortunate. And for the Bucs spotlight real quick, for those who have heard the rumors about whether the Bucs want Jameis Winston or back, as far as I'm concerned, 30 interceptions in a season is 30 interceptions. Keep that as far away from me as possible. Okay? Don't care how many games you win. I don't want to see 30 interceptions. Period. Just period. All right? So, Canes, got to get offense coordinator. And go from there. Keep rebuilding the roster, keep rebuilding the team, get some skill position players in there. Like I said, you guys got a good roster. We'll see if those guys can come in and translate and become something good right off the bat. And if they can, you guys will be back in the mix, and hopefully you guys will get back in the rank column again too, not just the dub column. Well, guys, that's what I had for basketball and for college. Next up, we're going to go into MLB and NHL, and we'll wrap it up with some UFC. But, guys, let's go ahead and take our second break, and when we get back, we'll get right into those details, okay? Well, thank you for keeping it locked here. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host for Palm Tree Sports, was brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here, guys.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
I love what those guys are doing over there with Fast Break, especially if you're into basketball. The difference in between what a show like Mine's does and a show like theirs does is we're going to cover kind of a generic scope of things. We're going to talk about a lot of current events. We're going to talk about heavily favored opinions and also opinions that we haven't really talked about much. Fast Break is going to get you that nitty gritty. You know what I'm saying? It's going to give you the details, the breakdown, the things that you're looking for specifically from one set to the next set. And I think it's a great way to lead off with things, or to follow up with things, especially in a show like Mine's. So, guys, I just want to say, welcome back first and foremost to Palm Tree Sports. I'm your host, Corey Poulos, brought to you by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And guys, like I said before, we're going to talk a little MLB, little NHL. We're going to get into some MMA, talk about a few things, right? So, first things first, with the Rays, spring baseball is around the corner. Yay! So for those who don't know, or have, if you've never seen like a postcard with Steinbrenner Field, the Rays and the Yankees have a very, very prestigious relationship. I feel blessed to know because my mom is from New York, my dad is from Jersey, and they're both Yankee fans. My mom more so than my dad. My dad likes the Yankees out of necessity of liking baseball. I mean, either you like them or you hate them. So it is what it is. But, settling down here in Tampa, it's a very wonderful refresher, if you will, that relationship exists between the Rays and the Yankees have their field down here along with their it's not a replica, but they do have a title poster, which it permanently stays up and it shows all of their title victories. And when they win a new one, it gets added. So it's just one of those things down here. For those who don't know, no matter where you're listening from, there is a weird but yet loving relationship between the Rays and the Yankees, except for when it's, playoff time. Of course, then it's just bitter. These two teams will swing at each other every year for a playoff spot, it seems like, whether it's winning or not. But like I said, spring training returns March 21st, you guys, 6:05 p.m. It's going to be against the Twins. I'm probably going to watch that game. March 21st, I think that's a weekend day. I don't know for sure, but I think it's a weekend day. So, even if it's not, it's going to be something to watch out for. Obviously, spring training is so much fun. It's good to get a first look at a team and see them shake the rust off and get back out there. So that's what I have for the Rays. For the Bolts, whoa! Guys, man. The Bolts they're just kicking behind, dude. They are just taking names left and right, and I am so proud of my team. Guys, let's go ahead and run through this, all right? Just beat the Bolts 5-2, or not the Bolts, but the Kings 5-2. The Kings are sporting a 28-18-6 record, so a relatively good team, if you will, improving team, if you will. But let's look at the Bolts, man, 32-15-1. Ooh, daddy. I love to see it. I love to see it, guys. They are just absolutely dominating on offense right now, outscoring everybody at will. They have won 8 of the last 9, all right? And that's what you call hot. That's fuego, all right? Somebody get the extinguisher, okay? All right, this is the Bolts team I'm about to say Rays, y'all, but this is the Bolts team I've been looking for. This is what I'm talking about, playing solid defense, especially in the second half, and absolutely destroying these teams on offense. I love it, scoring on power plays left and right. Oh my goodness. So while I'm over here having the time of my life talking about the Bolts, I just want you to remember that they're also on a 3-game win streak now after beating the Kings, and that's dangerous, man. You know, when this team is confident, they are almost unbeatable. All right, guys? When they're confident and healthy, almost unbeatable. All right? Next game is against the Panthers. Panthers are going to be rocking a 24-22-6 record, okay? Not as good as the Kings, but hey, look, they still in the win column. They're above 500. That still makes them dangerous, all right? Let's get in there. Let's handle business like we always do, guys. Play good defense, outscore them, and let's outrun this game. For those who don't know, there's a game in whatever, cellular device you have, and even if you have a laptop, there's a game for Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, huge nerd, guys. So if you love Star Wars, hit me up about it. We'll talk Star Wars for hours. I absolutely love it. And long story short, there's this game, and it's called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where it's the strategic team building game, a lot of grinding. You don't have to put money into it. You can free to play and actually do very well. And it's about building teams that can beat other good teams, right? But let's be clear, there's always a top team. And it's like that's what the Bolts feel like right now, man. They feel like at least in the game, in the Star Wars game, it's something Troopers. Imperial Troopers is the best team in the game overall, and they just outrun everybody. Right? They're just faster. They just do, speed determines when you take a turn. It's the same thing in sports, right? The faster you are, you playing with speed, you're going to win games. And they are definitely playing with speed. Yes, and may the force be with us all. Thank you. Yes, sir. And that's why I make the comparison, though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one of those things where earlier in the season, my older shows, I'm saying, guys, look, you put a little 2-game win streak together and you lose 2 games. You're hot and cold, guys. You're so much better than what you're playing. You got to settle down, right? That's the first thing. Take a deep breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Right? And then what do you do after that? Well, you assess the situation, make your best decision, and roll from there. And look what happens when they do that. Right? Look what happens when they do that. Absolutely love this Bolts team, getting chills thinking about it right now. And I can't wait to see how they continue to perform down the stretch, make it to the playoffs, and let's see if we can go to a 4th Stanley Cup. All right? Let's see if we can and bring a 3rd one home in the last 4 years. That would be absolutely phenomenal, guys. So I'm very, very happy with the Bolts. Very happy with what they're able to accomplish, especially right now when the rest of the league is on fire. There's some other teams on fire too. Make no mistake, the Bolts aren't the only one. Now, we have not we, but I have some slight UFC news to share with you guys. So first things first, I have a beloved gym here in Tampa. I train specifically in Muay Thai. Now, I've been away from the gym for a little bit of time, but I still do my at-home shows. And for those who don't know, there are actually a ton of at-home shows that you can do on YouTube, for instance, that Thai classes that you can do in the meantime if you're not hitting the gym, right? So when I do get back into the gym, I can't wait. I have to congratulate my guy Alon Cruz, who is I got to train with him for the time that I was there for a little bit, and like I said, it's been a minute since I've been there, but he recently signed with Bellator. Now, he was a UFC vet, and he took some time away from sports. He's been in the gym nonstop. Especially he's helped me out a little bit. He's been teaching a lot of the guys there. I've obviously, you can go onto the Instagram and see what their work is. You also see it on YouTube. It's Kaizen Tampa, Kizan. And my instructors are phenomenal. Brandon, Vincent is the owner. So shout out to you guys. I want to say thank you guys for what you guys do. But let me explain this much, okay? There's beauty in the combat of it all. Okay, there's absolute beauty. I don't know how many people watch baseball, but odds are if you watch baseball, you're in love with a few different aspects of the game. One thing you might be in love with is the bat flip, right? So for me, that's one of the biggest things. When you see somebody just absolutely smash it, when I think about bat flips, I go straight to Jose Bautista. Okay, straight to Jose Bautista. He knocks that thing somewhere into the orbit of Jupiter, and he almost looks away from the mound, like I can't even look at you for you throwing that pitch at me, and just chucks the bat with the most sauce I've ever seen, okay? With absolute most sauce I've ever, like, he knew. He hit it and he knew. So, standing there looking like the Statue of Liberty. That's what I think of. That's something that excites me. Another thing that excites me is catching the pitches. I love being able to discern the pitches. I love watching baseball and saying, oh, that was a speeder, that was a slider, that was this, that was that. It's the same thing with mixed martial arts, you guys. When you learn the craft and you learn what people are trying to do, and you be able to see it the way, fighting was meant to be seen, the mixed martial arts was meant to be seen, you find out it's a dance. It's a lot of martial arts are dances. They're so fluent, they're so beautiful, they're meant to look good. Okay? It's almost like it's meant to look good, because to a certain degree it is. And that's what brings so much love. And let me tell you something. Being able to train with those guys who have been doing it for years and seeing their fluidity, seeing how relaxed they are when a strike is coming their way, seeing them do a switch step into a jab or into a low kick or something like that, just to set up a counter to whatever their counter is, and learning the magic behind it, you guys. If y'all have ever, thought about checking out martial arts, get into it, give it a try. There's going to be an event coming up very soon that is going to kind of reshape, all right, the middleweight division, and pretty much all of you guys know where I'm going with this. It's going to be Israel Adesanya, all right, versus Alex Pineda 2, UFC 287. I believe it was 287, okay? Guys, this fight is going to shape pretty much the future of the middleweight division. Should Izzy win, there will be a third match, you have to imagine, okay? Should Izzy lose, there's the real question mark, because it would basically appear at that point that Alex really just showed up to beat Izzy, and that was it. It's not so much that he has a vendetta about being champion, because I'm willing to bet that if Jose Pineda had fought or does fight somebody like a Robert Whittaker, or even a what was that young man that Izzy fought recently? I can't remember. It was the guy with the dreads. The young built dude. Anyway, he has good wrestling. The point that I'm making is this: Izzy versus any wrestler right now is losing. I don't care who you are. You look. All right. You could be. I'm like a retired UFC vet could come back, all right, and probably beat him for the title if he doesn't catch him with that left hook. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Alex Pineda's wrestling is laughable. It's absolutely a joke. I mean, he weighs 40 pounds, 40 pounds more than Israel Adesanya during the fight easily. You could see it in his build, and he's being taken down at will. All right, guys, being taken down at will. So, for those who watched the first fight, I'm going to tell you guys. You asked me the question. Well, how does Izzy beat Pineda? You knock him out. Yeah. That's the problem with Izzy. He doesn't put everything behind any one punch, but it's something he may want to consider just this one time. He's fought the guy 3 separate times. The first time it went to a decision. He was robbed of that. I watched that first fight. The second fight, he was dominating the first 2-3 rounds until he started parrying the right hand, got countered by the left hook. For those who don't know what that's like, that's basically what the counter is to the parry of the right, is a left hook, a short left hook to the chin. You go left uppercut to the body, to the solar plex, or to the chin from there, for those who don't know, right? So very simple stuff right there. He got caught parrying, and he got knocked out because of it. Alex Pineda does have power, okay, guys? Don't get me wrong, but he's also a cheater. And I will say this live simply because for those who know anything about boxing or wrestling or anything like that, that's why there are weight classes. Alex Pineda walks around at 220 pounds plus. Izzy walks around at about 185, 190, okay? I walk around at 125, so I wouldn't have to cut weight. You guys see what I'm saying? I'm just fighting at 125. But for those who have to cut weight, bro, if you're 220, which is a heavyweight, and you're cutting down to middleweight, bro, I have no respect for you. Because what it sounds like to me is you just can't beat heavyweights. Okay? Now, if you can beat heavyweights, then go beat them. But I don't see the point in being 220 pounds plus and coming down just to beat somebody you had already beaten in K1. All right, guys. I think Alex Pineda is a fraud. I think he's kind of just maybe he's just a bad person. Maybe he just wants to torment Izzy for whatever purpose it serves him. He's copycatting him. With respect, if you're 220 pounds, bro, go be a heavyweight. Well, guys, that's my segment on the UFC as far as MMA is concerned, and Bellator. Like I said, shout out to my friend Alon Cruz that's joining. I'm happy for him. He's a tremendous fighter, and I wish him nothing but the best of luck. I look forward to see what happens in the near future. Excuse me, guys. Not just with him, but with the rest of the UFC, especially with this match coming up again, that's going to reshape the middleweight division for the next at least year or 2 years to come. Thank you guys for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports. It was a pleasure to have you. I am your host, Corey Pujols. Come tap me on Twitter anytime. Talk to me about anything. Like I said, sports, history, Star Wars, whatever your thing is, come holler at me and we'll have a great conversation, exchange some knowledge and go from there, guys. Again, this is Palm Tree Sports brought to you by Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you guys and have a wonderful weekend.